Welcome to Logos Bible Software Tutorials, and today we are going to talk about the grammatical construction tool. Now, this comes more as a question that someone had posed. I'm going to talk about the grammatical construction tool. First, I want to talk about a little bit of history. How does this tool come into play? So, you've heard me talk about the syntax search and how there's no real documentation for it, very few videos. So in the past, in order to find, for example, a conditional statement, you had to use the syntax search tool. And the challenge with that is that a lot of people just were not able to use the tool, and there wasn't even a lot of a documentation or any videos. I think even to date now there may be 5 or 6. Nothing a whole lot of information on it. So you couldn't find it. So the grammatical construction tool, it first started off, it was really only in the New Testament. Because that is what was the main concern. So they did a variety of things in Greek. For example, they would get into conditional statements, first, second, and third conditional statements. Then they just added more to it. In this video, I'm going to go through the documentation that it has, and I'm going to really point out some resources to help you and really try to answer this question, because this is the question that was posed. Is the grammatical construction tool for beginners? That's a difficult question to ask. Because you have to ask, what kind of beginner are you? And 2 is that, do you have the resources to find these answers? So that's really what we're going to get into. And then my quick answer is the grammatical construction tool for beginners. Yes and no. Yes, in one sense that it can help you to find these various grammatical constructions with knowing very little Greek or Hebrew. It's not, because if you don't know where to go, then you're going to be lost, or that you're going to apply things that would have been foreign to the original hearers. So my hope is to dive into this tool, look at the documentation where you can go to a better understanding or how to apply it in your Bible study. So let's get at it. Let's dive into the grammatical construction tool. Length training, we're going to go over the grammatical constructions. We're going to look at the documentation, where we can use the grammatical constructions. We're going to search with it, context menus, all that stuff. So we're going to go into library, and we're going to go into grammatical construct. There is a Greek as well as a Hebrew version. They both pretty much have the same thing. I just want to bring it up to you for you. My library, I gotta go into the grammatical constructions. They have information, a introduction about the tool, information, usages, how to search in the context menu, where we're going to do those 2 here. You can also use it in the information plane, but we are not going to talk about that here. And then it goes through it in alphabetical order. We're going to go into the Greek. Our first one is what's called as an accusative absolute. Stephen Runge calls this a circumstantial frame. So this is also known as a circumstantial frame. Now, it has an example of it in the absolute, the accusative absolute. It has it in Axis Hicks 3. You can search. It's got your search tool, and it's got 2 resources. Now, the grammatical construction tool is probably somewhere around 5, 6, or 7, so that there's a lot more resources that you have. So if I wanted to search, there are 2 places where you can find more information. I'm going to go into my books, and I'm going to copy the accusative absolute, and it is, I'm going to search for it, and I'm going to paste, and I want to put this in quotes because when I don't put it in quotes, it's going to search for every occasion with the accusative or the absolute, and that's not what we want. We're going to have a search. We have two here where it talks about it. Now, we're going to do another search, and we're going to look into not the journals, but our grammars. And we're going to pull from all the grammars in your library, it's going to pull this from. These are all your grammars where it talks about the accusative absolute. You'll notice that Stephen Runge's book is not here. So what we're going to do, we're going to come back over here, and we know that this also uses this as in Robinson's book. He called it a circumstantial participle. So we are going to copy this, and we're going to every occasion, and let's just see what it brings up. And you will also have a occasion where it talks about the circumstantial participle. Now, this is a particular type of circumstantial participle, but this would bring up all the occasions of the circumstantial participle. So it has a lot more information, and we're just going here is when we do this. Currently, it has 86 results in 54 articles. And it's going to pull up a lot more. Now the accusative absolute is a particular kind of circumstantial participle. So just keep that in mind. So just keep that in mind that this is a certain type of circumstantial participle. Next thing that it shows is the ability to search for a grammatical construction. So you click on here, And this is going to give you all the grammatical constructions in a given passage. So we're just going to do this, and we're just, so now this is all of the ones in all the Bible. I like to limit how an author uses it. So I'm not going to look at every passage. So what we also see is that this is mainly in the. So if I wanted to just see, for example, the books that it's used. So what if? So one thing that I can see is that it's used a lot. Mark also. So it's used a lot in Mark 9. It's used three times in Mark 9. So that may be pertinent for me when I'm trying to study a book and how and then the usage of this grammatical construction. So limiting this to a study of a particular book, say I am studying Matthew chapter 6, and I want to see how else that he is using the same construction, I will look in the book of Matthew, and I will limit that my references to only to the book of Matthew, and it will only bring those up. The search, we've looked at the documentation. We've searched with it. I've shown you how to limit a particular construction to a particular book. Now that we're just going to close all this stuff out, and we want to. Now the guide that's going to give you that information is your exegetical guide. So, so we saw. I think we saw in Mark 9, I think it was. So I'm going to look at 9, and I want to look at all the grammatical constructions. So I have Mark 9, I have first conditional. Here it is. Here's our accusative absolute. So if I'm studying the book of Mark, so say for instance, I'm studying Mark 9. The question where I'm trying to understand, hey, that the accusative absolute, and why does he use it? Well, when I'm studying my passage, it's going to bring up. Now, here's the important part. This is important because you can get lost in the grammatical constructions of a passage. The only thing that you're concerned with when you are studying a passage is answers to your questions when it comes to formulating that you're I am now a big idea. And we don't want to convey when we're preaching or teaching, we don't want to give them a lecture, we want to give them a sermon. And that's why it's important for you to take these grammatical constructions and explain them to your people in such a way that makes sense. I'm not going to say, well, this is a first class conditional clause and this is what it's doing. I'm not going to say that this is an accusative absolute and this is what it's doing. You want to explain these terms and these things in language that they will understand. There's no sense to name it a accusative absolute. Just explain them what's the significance of the passage, or what's the significance of the grammatical construction and how they can understand the passage, and so that by understanding the passage that they're able to apply the text to their life. So now we're at this. I wanted to show you some resources, at least from a Greek perspective, of some some research, some tools that can really help you to get you the information that you need. Um, this is going to help me to bring up a lot of my resources so much better. I'm going to do this accusative absolute, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to go into my grammars, because that's really where I'm going to go into my grammars. I'm going to search for circumstantial. I also want a circumstantial participle. Voila. So let me show you. I use this one. This is one of my go-tos. Going deeper with New Testament Greek. I believe that this is going to be the go-to. An intermediate grammar. This is going to be a go-to for from time to come. So we have this one is one of my go-tos. Daniel B. Wallace, his book is a reference tool that you have to have when you are getting into Greek. He covers literally almost everything. I also like. I'm looking for Rungi's. Let's look for. This one right here. These three books are pretty much my go-to when it comes to Greek. These two. So this book by Rungi, um, Discourse Grammar on the Greek New Testament. We have Greek Grammar Beyond the Basics. And lastly, we have Going Deeper with Greek. These are my go-to references when it comes to Greek. I really navigate towards these more than anything else. Talked about that you can find all this stuff in your context plane. So, I'm going to pull up my ESV. I'm going to pull. Let's go into Luke 1:1-4. Now, in my context plane, so I search this, and it's going to give me my grammatical construction. So it says that this one is a clause level grammatical construction. So it's going to give you, it's going to tell you what is something as a grammatical construction. So if I want to click here and I want to search it, say for instance, I want to search so I search the books of every time that this grammatical construction clause level, it's listing all my books that have this tagged as a clause level grammatical construction. So this is just in verse 1. When I come to verse 2, I click on verse 2, boom, and it clause level grammatical construction. I like more that going through the exegetical guide, really, I'm able to find this information a whole lot easier, a whole lot better. So these are the ways that you can find the grammatical constructions. I hope this was helpful and for you to get a grasp of the grammatical constructions, as well as many of other things dealing with the grammatical construction.